There's a fancy apartment complex in New York City known as the Tower, and its penthouse belongs to Wall Street billionaire Arthur. After a night swim in the roof pool, he continues his online chess with Josh, the building manager. In the morning, Josh is on his way to work when he comes across Slide, who scolds him for walking on his side of the street. Josh ignores him. At the Tower, Josh and doorman Lester walk Arthur to his car, and Arthur says that he likes them so much that he may bring them to work for the hotel he's trying to open. Afterward, General Manager Simon informs Josh that Charlie isn't at the reception desk, and he better show up in 3 minutes. Then Josh notices that Loenko is studying for her bar exam and asks her to do it during her break instead, but Lovienko pretends she isn't studying. Simon explains that Enrique is their new elevator operator, so Josh tells him all the rules. They can't take tips, and they must give the tenants their full attention 24/7, so no phones allowed. Then Josh notices that his brother-in-law Charlie has arrived 20 minutes late. Charlie is freaking out because his pregnant wife is in her 3rd trimester, but isn't worried about losing his job. He proves himself by impressing an Asian tenant with flowers. Afterward, Josh goes to see Fitsu to remind him that he needs to leave because he's been evicted and the bank is coming tomorrow. Fitsu shares that he lost his job and nobody will help him. So Josh agrees to buy him some time by telling the bank to reschedule because the elevator is under maintenance. After their shift is over, Lester informs Josh that this is his last year working in the tower because he's retiring. The next morning, Josh is on his way to work and watches Slide arguing with a woman on the street, causing quite a scene. At the tower, Josh notices that Arthur's car is still there, which means he hasn't left at his usual time. He also sees a black sedan that has been parked across the street for 2 days with no tickets. At that moment, some men come out of that car, so Josh and Lester think they're robbers. Lester locks the front door while Josh rushes inside. Then he checks the security cameras, but he can't see the men anymore. Suddenly, the strange men push Arthur into the van and Josh realizes this is a kidnapping. Josh starts running after the vehicle on the streets only to suddenly be brought down by Agent Claire. At the same time, the van crashes and a bunch of FBI agents surrounded to arrest Arthur. Josh tries to defend him, saying he's the victim, but Claire explains it wasn't a kidnapping. Soon, reporters all over the media announce that Arthur was arrested for fraud. Josh gathers all the tower employees to tell them that since Arthur is on the board, Josh asked him to manage all their pensions, so the money is most likely gone now. The following day, Arthur is released on a $10 million bail, but he must remain under house arrest. Claire tells Josh that the penthouse floor now belongs to the FBI and informs him of all the new rules. In the middle of the apartment, Claire is shocked to see a car. Arthur explains it's a Ferrari that used to belong to legendary actor Steve McQueen, and he bought it for $1 million. Arthur asks Josh to handle his meal and tries to tip him, but Josh reminds him of the no tips rule. When Josh goes home, he sees Slide being arrested. Slide asks him to record everything with his phone because the cops are mistreating him, but Josh ignores him again. Meanwhile, Lester is at the subway station and he approaches the edge of the platform with dark thoughts in his mind. Minutes later, Josh is awakened by an urgent call from Charlie. Josh rushes to the hospital and learns that Lester tried to self-D, but a cop saved him at the last second. Lester reveals that he gave all his savings to Arthur to invest it, and now he can't retire. So, Josh promises that Arthur will give him the money back. Afterward, Josh returns to the tower and finds Fitsu in the elevator. He's been finally evicted and his wife took the kids in the divorce. When they reach the penthouse, the FBI agents don't want to let them pass, but Charlie claims they're here for Arthur's trash and breakfast order. Josh finally drops his friendly attitude and calls Arthur out for what he did. Yet, Arthur still pretends to be innocent and claims the FBI is lying. A furious Josh grabs a golf club and starts hitting the car, breaking every window and light while yelling at Arthur for his lies. Later, Simon fires Josh. Josh says a final goodbye to all the employees before trying to talk to Charlie, who thinks Josh always wanted to fire him. Josh confirms it and says Charlie was always bad at his job. Charlie doesn't listen and leaves. In a bar, Josh meets with Claire and gives her lots of information about Arthur, including his travel schedule. And Claire explains that the bank will probably take all of Arthur's assets, so the chance of the employees getting their money back is almost zero. A disappointed Josh decides to leave, but Claire invites him to drink with her. They end up getting drunk, and Claire shares that business criminals like Arthur usually keep emergency money hidden somewhere in case they're caught. This gives Josh an idea. The next day, Josh returns to the tower, and a guard tries to stop him from entering. But Josh says he only forgot something and reminds him he has dirt on him. In his office, Josh gets his notebook and checks some notes he took about a safe. After stopping at a store to study that safe model, he goes looking for Enrique, Charlie, and Fitsu to have a special meeting. At Josh's place, he tells his friends that Arthur bought a safe for his apartment a few years ago. He then remodeled the apartment and took down every wall except one. So, the safe must be behind it, but he needs their help. Enrique and Fitzu agree, but Charlie is hesitant and points out that they don't know anything about stealing. Josh replies that he has a solution. Moments later in prison, Sly is surprised to learn someone paid his bail. When he comes out, he finds Josh waiting for him. Josh gives him a ride and tries some small talk. So, an annoyed Sly steps on the gas and asks him why he helped him after ignoring him for so long. Josh has to drive around other vehicles and avoid red lights until he finally manages to stop the car. Their argument doesn't stop until Josh tells him about his plan. At the mall, they meet with Josh's friends, but Sly isn't impressed, saying these three random dudes will be useless during a heist. Josh tries to defend them, so Sly asks them to prove themselves by giving them 15 minutes to steal something. Each of them goes to a different store and pretends they want to buy something, keeping the employees distracted until they can hide a product in their clothes. They bring all the things to Sly, who is actually impressed and agrees to work with them. He also reveals he's emptied their wallets. Sometime later, the group meets on top of a building. It's snowing, yet Sly doesn't let the others wear jackets. He gives them bobby pins and asks them to practice lockpicking on the door. Next, Josh tells his friends that they'll need to find a way to avoid the security cameras, the doorman, the guards, and the other employees. The group goes to a restaurant near the tower to study the movements of the guards and the police in the area. Fitzu is worried that they can't afford lunch, but Sly has brought a roach in a bag to get the meal for free. Now that they have more information, Josh puts together the plan and explains it with a Lego model. Sly will hide the money for a week to avoid suspicion since he's the only one not connected to the tower, but Enrique thinks Sly isn't trustworthy. Sly gets angry and points a gun at him, so Josh has to calm him down and reminds him that the heist has a no-guns rule. At that moment, Claire and two cops come to see Joshua. The others panic and hide while Josh goes to the door. Claire informs him that the judge is going to dismiss the case next week at the hearing and that Arthur wants to press charges against Josh for the Ferrari. However, Arthur will drop the whole thing if Josh apologizes. Minutes later, Josh is apologizing to Arthur at the penthouse. Arthur accepts the apology and smugly talks about chess moves, implying he's won. Afterward, Claire gives Josh a ride and surprises him with the footage of him destroying the car, which she illegally stole to help him. Josh asks her out on Saturday, and Claire accepts. When Josh enters his home, the others scold him for dating an FBI agent when they're about to commit a crime. Sly also informs him that he doesn't know how to crack Arthur's modern safe, so they'll need an expert. Josh calls Odessa, a maid who works at the tower. Her father was a locksmith, so she knows some tricks. They show her the safe, and she confirms she can open it. The next day, Josh and Fitzu watch the tower a little longer and see Charlie going inside. Josh waits until he comes out to confront him, and Charlie reveals that Simon offered him the building manager job. He won't help his friends anymore and tells Josh not to do the heist because he'll call the police. Arthur has also decided to press charges against Josh after the hearing. On her way out, Claire calls Josh and tells him that he'll be arrested by the weekend. Josh is actually happy because this was his plan all along. On the big day, the streets are closed for the parade and Lester is working again. Claire and the agents take Arthur out to go to his hearing. Meanwhile, Enrique finds Charlie's wife in the subway and steals her phone from her purse, which he brings to Josh. The group is worried because Sly hasn't shown up, but at that moment, Josh sees him wearing his suit and going to the tower. He realizes Sly asked Odessa to teach him how to crack the safe so he can steal the money for himself. With his sister's phone, Josh sends Charlie a message telling him that the baby is on the way. So, Charlie leaves the tower. The security guards find a Playboy magazine that has pictures of one of their tenants, so they're distracted looking at them. Odessa pretends it's a coworker's birthday and brings a cake to the lobby, so everyone starts singing happy birthday. When the rest of the staff comes out to watch the balloons, Josh, Enrique, and Fitzu easily sneak inside. In the meantime, Sly pretends to be a bank employee and asks Simon to let him into Fitzu's old apartment. Josh's team tries to reach the elevator while Odessa keeps everyone distracted, but Simon and Sly get in first. In Fitzu's apartment, Sly asks for a tour, and when Simon walks into the closet, Sly locks him up. He also turns on the radio, so nobody will hear Simon asking for help. Odessa puts a sedative on a slice of cake and goes to the penthouse. She offers the cake to the FBI guard who turns it down because he's allergic to chocolate. Eventually, the trio reaches the machine room and turns the elevator off. Sly escapes by climbing through the hatch on the ceiling and starts climbing up the shaft. Once they have their masks on, they enter the apartment and cover all the cameras with stickers. Then they poke the wall until they find a hollow spot and break it down with hammers to reveal the safe. At that moment, Sly shows up and points his gun at them, but Josh refuses to move. Odessa appears behind Sly with her own weapon and makes him drop his gun, so Fitzu picks it up. While Odessa starts working on cracking the safe, Charlie returns to the tower and is suspicious of his wife's fake text. He checks the security cameras and sees the unconscious FBI guard, assuming he's sleeping. At the courthouse, Claire and Arthur discover that nobody is working today because it's a holiday, which means someone sent them fake documentation. They try to return to the tower, but all the streets are closed. At the penthouse, Odessa finally opens the safe only to discover it's empty. Slide tries to get his gun back, and in the struggle, he accidentally fires it, hitting the car. Josh takes a close look at the bullet hole and notices something. He uses a crowbar to scratch more paint off and confirms that the whole car is made of gold. So he comes up with a new plan. Enrique rushes to the rooftop and lowers the maintenance crane. Josh and Slide remove the glass from the penthouse window and push the vehicle to the edge. After they secure the crane to the car, Enrique makes the crane pull it out and slowly begins to lower it a few floors down to Fitsu's old apartment. However, Fitsu is frozen with fear and doesn't dare grab the car. Josh and Slide want to help him, but at that moment, the guard wakes up and keeps trying to open the locked door. They decide to climb down the crane rope instead. When Fitsu finally calms down, he holds onto some rope for safety. Then he leans out the window to grab the car. Unfortunately, the strong wind pushes the car and Fitsu is pulled out. Thankfully, Charlie catches him just in time and brings him back inside. Josh and Slide finally get in the car, which is swinging dangerously. Charlie and Fitsu hold the hook together and manage to connect it to the vehicle. So, the car successfully enters the apartment. Then, Charlie scolds Josh for ruining his life, but he agrees to help when he learns about the gold. The group wonders how to fit the car in the elevator. However, Charlie has a better idea. Then, Enrique turns on the elevator and stops it again right under the penthouse floor. When Josh searches the car for the keys, he finds a notebook with all the details of Arthur's illegal businesses. At that moment, a tenant comes out of her apartment to ask for help with her dog. Charlie takes the puppy just so the lady will go home. While Claire's driver finally finds an alternate road to reach the tower, the guys push the car on top of the elevator, which suddenly starts going down. The dog jumps and Josh has to catch it. Enrique warns his friends that security has overridden him. In the lobby, Arthur and the agents get in the elevator, which now starts going up again. Claire hears a dog bark, but thinks nothing of it. There's a grill blocking the top of the shaft, and the car hits it, but thankfully the elevator stops right there. After Arthur and the agent step off, Josh calls Lester to tell him to get Slide's stolen truck and back it up to the elevator. In the penthouse, Claire sees the exposed safe and points out that Arthur didn't report it, which is a violation of his parole, so he's now in custody. Then she orders her men to lock down the building. When the agents check the security cameras, they see Lester in the truck and realize that the employees have stolen the Ferrari. The garage has closed the shutter. The FBI chases after him, so everyone in the parade panics and moves out of the way to avoid getting crushed, only to find the street blocked by police cars. The FBI then opens the truck and discovers it's empty. Lester says he doesn't know what she means. He only stole a truck to try to self-delete again. Soon, the FBI finds and arrests each team member while they're pretending to do their daily routines. Claire handcuffs Josh, who tells her that the dinner reservation is real. In the police truck, Arthur asks where his car is and threatens the group with many years in prison. Josh isn't scared and reveals he has the notebook. When Arthur tries to buy it from him, Enrique reminds him that they don't take tips. Meanwhile, Simon is still screaming in the closet. At the FBI headquarters, Claire tries to interrogate Josh, but she's interrupted by Lovico, who announces she's passed the bar and will be the entire team's lawyer. She shows the agents the notebook and agrees to give it to them if they let the team go. The agents agree to free everyone except Josh, who will only get 2 years as a first-time offender. Josh decides to take the deal, and now his friends are safe. The team returns to the tower and reveals they've hidden the car in the roof pool. While Arthur is sent to prison, Music Charlie is at the hospital with his newborn baby. Sometime later, all the tower employees receive a package with a gold piece from the car. In prison, Josh smiles at his victory. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this.